Guys, we have an urgent breaking news coming out. Multiple sources are putting out this information here. Sleeping giant troops invade Mexico in dramatic escalation of tensions as Pentagon scrambles to contain the fallout. What? Look at this here. Look at this picture. Look at this one here. So those are sleeping giant soldiers out there in Mexico Beach. All right, so we're going to see what's going on here, guys. A lot of, a couple of sources are saying sleeping giant just invaded this region. All right, guys, before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, Luis Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. And for those of you that want to help and support the channel, we do have the Cash App link and a PayPal link in the comments box and also the description box. Once again, thank you so much for your support. So U.S. troops, the sleeping giant troops storm Mexican beach in dramatic invasion. Let's see what's going on here, guys. Now, again, other sources didn't put out information, but again, just take this one with a grain of salt. I do believe that there's a possibility sleeping giant soldiers are out there in their territory. So it says here the sleeping giant troops have stormed a Mexican beach, setting off a diplomatic firestorm amid soaring tensions after the U.S. commander threatened to, the country. Now, sleeping giant contractors arrived by boat on Monday to Playa Bagdad. Playa means beach, driving signs into the sand near where the Rio Grande empties into the Gulf of Mexico. Alarmed witnesses quickly alerted officials, and heavily armed Mexican security personnel rushed to the scene on trucks mounted with machine gun in a terrifying standoff. What? Okay, so let me just pull up this information. So I do have a lot of information here about this news. So you have sleeping giant soldiers have stormed a Mexican beach, setting off a diplomatic firestorm amid soaring tensions after the U.S. commander threatened to drop the BOMB on Mexico. Now it says here, the sleeping giant contractors arrived by boat on Monday to Playa Bagdad, driving signs into the sand near where the Rio Grande empties into the Gulf of Mexico. Alarmed witnesses quickly alerted the official. A heavily armed Mexican security personnel rushed to the scene on trucks mounted with machine guns in a terrifying standoff. What? It says here, the Mexican troops watched as the sleeping giant drove 6 signs into the ground which said, "Warning, restricted area." Wow. Wow. Written in English and Spanish, they claimed that the beach was the property of Department of Defense and had been declared restricted by the commander. What? They also said unauthorized access or photographing was not allowed in the area, and that if you are found here, you may be detained and searched. Now, Mexico Foreign Affairs Ministry said that their country Navy took the sign out of the sand, which they believe was on Mexican territory. Oh, man. Now, again, the sleeping giant, in a deeply embarrassing statement, admitted that its troops were mistaken on landing on the beach. So this was some kind of mistake, I guess. So I wouldn't call this an invasion, but I guess it was a message that was sent to them saying, we're going to take this territory. Eventually, we're going to be given the green light. Oh, hold on. Look at this picture here. Man, they're taking off the sign that the U.S. soldiers put there. Oh, man. Wow. So the U.S. soldiers, I mean, they put a sign there saying it's our territory, and in English and Spanish, and these are the Mexican troops. They came and removed the sign, told them this is our territory. Wow. Hold on. Give me a second here. Look at this picture. So again, I don't know, guys. I don't see this as an invasion, um, but they did step to their territory. You want to call it invading our territory, but oh, look at this one here. Look at the sign. This is a sign right here. This is what the sign said. So this is what the U.S. soldiers put out there. Warning! Restricted area. This Department of Defense property has been declared a restricted area by authority of the commander in accordance with the provisions of the directive issued by the Secretary of Defense pursuant to the provision of Section 21 Internal Security Act of 1950. Unauthorized entry is prohibited. All persons and vehicles entering herein may be detained and searched. Photographing or making notes, drawings, maps, or graphic representations of the area or its activity are prohibited unless specifically authorized by the commander. Any such material found in the possession of unauthorized persons will be confiscated. So they have this also translated to Spanish. That's crazy. So the U.S. soldiers just came and put that on Mexico territory, Mexico Beach. And then you had the people out there, the residents. They quickly called the officials, say, "Hey, what's going on here? We're being invaded." Mexico soldiers came and they removed the sign. I don't know. Something strange is going on here, guys. Something strange is going on here. It doesn't make any sense why Sleeping Giant soldiers are putting that sign out there and then they're leaving. But again, it's kind of strange. U.S. Embassy in Mexico shared a comment from the Pentagon on Tuesday, which confirmed that personnel had been sent to mark National Defense Area 3. Changes in water depth and topography altered the perception of the international boundary location, the statement said. Gov of Mexico personnel removed 6 signs based on their perception of the international boundaries location. Now, again, the Pentagon added that contractors would coordinate with appropriate agencies to avoid confusion in the future. Now, again, Mexican President Claudia declared on Tuesday that the International Boundary and Water Commission, a binational agency that determines that the border between the two countries, would arbitrate the dispute. Mexico Foreign Affairs Ministry said in a statement that the origins of the signs and their placement on national territory were unclear, and that the Mexican section of International Boundary and Water Commission is getting involved. Now they will review the maps and instruments that mark the border between both countries are established by existing boundary and water treaties, the statement ended. The IBWC is a binational agency which oversees the border and water treaties between the U.S. and Mexico, marking the international boundary as one of its several jobs. Reportedly, both the U.S. and Mexican agency should seek advice from the IBWC before doing any construction or starting any project that might affect the international boundary. So I don't see this as an invasion. Wow. But it's kind of shocking that this type of stuff took place out there. And give me a second here, guys. I actually apologize. Computer's running a little slow. I think because of the this website. Here's another picture. Look at this one here. Look at this one, guys. So these are the Mexican authorities. It says here, the exact location of the beach remains unconfirmed by both parties, but a video circulating on social media and in local news appears to show Mexican Marines taking down the signs. Now, question remains on what Navy personnel was doing there and who the authority was on the project. Now, the Daily Mail reached out to the White House for clarification on the issue on whether the order came directly from the commander-in-chief, given his comments earlier about the gangs in Mexico and his willingness to take action. They did not immediately respond. The president of Mexico, Claudia, on Tuesday once again turned down the U.S. president's suggestion to have U.S. military intervention against the gangs out there. So I have told him on every occasion that we can collaborate, that they can help us with information they have, but that we operate in our territory, that we do not accept any intervention by a foreign gov, Claudia said. Now, the U.S. commander has said several times as of late that he is not happy with Mexico. Mexico president has rejected the name change of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America by the U.S. commander at the start of his second term, which added a layer of complexity to the planted signs. Okay. Give me a second here, guys. So I just pulled up this information. Give me a second here. That's why you got to be careful with some of these news articles. But again, there's multiple sources that's saying the same thing. I guess when it comes to that title, the claim that the sleeping giant troops have stormed a Mexican beach is false. However, an incident did occur where individuals arriving by boat placed an unauthorized sign on a Mexican beach declaring the areas restricted by the U.S. Department of Defense, amidst high tensions following a threat of military action from the commander. The claim that the American troop has stormed a Okay, when I hear that stormed a Mexican beach, I'm like, okay, it has begun. The war is hitting the fan. All right, so key details of the incident. Location. The sign were placed on Playa Baghdad, a beach in northeastern Mexico near where the Rio Grande meets the Gulf of Mexico. Give me a second. Let me just pull up the Google map. I'm going to show you really quick. Give me a second here. Google map. Is that near Texas? Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second here. Mexico Beach. Give me a second here. I'm looking for the I don't know, guys. Again, it might be the wrong territory, but I guess that's the one right there. I could be wrong on this one here, guys. Again, this is the Mexico beach. But I could be wrong, guys. I could be wrong on that one. Again, I just can't find it, though. South... give me a second here, guys. Playa Baghdad, Mexico. Okay, here we go. I got it. I got it. It's so hard to look for these stuff. So that's really close between... Oh, okay. So, yeah. Okay, so there you go. So it happened right there. Really close to the US border. Really close to the US border. Alright, let me zoom it in so you guys have a better view. There you go. Zoom it in. Zoom it in. So it's right there. Alright. Let's go back with this news really quick here. So location, the sign were placed. I just showed you that Google map. A beach in northeastern Mexico near where the Rio Grande meets the Gulf of Mexico. The sign read, "This is a restricted area, property of Department of Defense." I know Mexico troops, they ain't like that. Mexican response. Mexican authorities said, specifically, the Navy quickly removed the signs. Removed the sign. Mexican President Claudia has firmly stated that she will not allow any U.S. military intervention on Mexican soil, calling it a violation of sovereignty. Diplomatic context. The incident occurred a day after U.S. commander suggested he was open to launching military strike. Mexico. Now, this had led to an international dispute with both nations, diplomats, and the International Boundary and Water Commission working to clarify the situation. Perpetrators. The identity of the individuals who placed the sign remains unclear. The witnesses reported they arrived in a boat from the U.S. side of the border. The U.S. Department of Defense has not confirmed involvement in placing the sign. The situation has caused a diplomatic firestorm, highlighting existing tensions between the two nations over border security and the gang policy. And that's where we at, guys. That is where we at. This is like the closest we have seen of some kind of biblical war in Mexico. The closest. I wouldn't say, well, they did step in their territory and they placed a sign, but I wouldn't say it's an invasion of war. It's an invasion of property. All right, so again, you're just stepping into someone else's territory. But again, this is where we are right now, guys. I will keep it updated with this news. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the videos I posted today. The links will be in the comments box. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time later. Peace.